But that's exactly what we're going to dive into today.
Okay.
Because even though it might not be the most glamorous topic, waste removal in the winter,
Yeah.
it actually presents some pretty serious challenges.
It really does.
You guessed it.
What?
Some seriously cool tech is coming to the rescue.
Totally. It's true.
Yeah.
We don't often think about,
Right.
how our garbage just disappears. But in the winter, you've got icy roads, freezing waste, and then collection points are hidden by snow drifts.
Oh, totally.
And it can turn what should be like a routine pickup into a logistical nightmare.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Just last winter, I had to chisel a bag of frozen kitchen scraps out of my bin.
Oh, wow.
Talk about a morning workout. But seriously, though,
Yeah.
what kind of impact do all these winter woes have on the waste removal process as a whole?
Well, you have to think about it.
Yeah.
For the waste removal teams themselves, it means dangerous driving conditions, sometimes potential damage to the vehicles, and then just a lot of wasted time and fuel trying to access certain bins or navigate routes that become impassable. And this often leads to missed pickups and frustrated residents.
I can see how that leads to some tension for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like a chain reaction of inconvenience.
Totally.
But that's where technology comes in, right?
Exactly. We're seeing this huge wave of innovation in this field that's driven by a need for,
Yeah.
more efficient, safer, and frankly, more reliable waste removal solutions
Mm-hmm.
during these,
The worst months.
the worst months of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk tech then.
Okay.
What are some of the key innovations that are really changing the game when it comes to winter waste removal?
Well, one of the most fascinating developments that we've seen is the rise of smart bins.
Oh, okay.
Now, these aren't your average garbage cans. We're talking about bins that are equipped with sensors that monitor everything,
Oh,
from fill levels to even internal temperature.
hold on. So the bins can actually tell if the garbage is frozen solid.
That's exactly right.
Wow.
And they can relay that information back to the waste removal companies in real time.
So
This allows them to optimize their routes, avoiding unnecessary trips to bins that are only half full or dealing with a frozen mess that might require specialized equipment to collect.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So it's not just about efficiency, though, right?
No,
It sounds like it could potentially even be impacting community behavior, too.
it can. In some cities, these smart bins have actually led to a decrease in illegal dumping
Oh, wow.
because people know that their bin isn't going to be overflowing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But what about those icy roads that we were talking about before?
Right.
Are there any tech solutions for navigating those hazards?
Definitely.
Right.
We're seeing the emergence of these specialized winterized vehicles that are designed to withstand even the most extreme conditions.
Wow.
Think insulated compartments to prevent freezing and even built-in heating systems.
Like a mobile sauna for your trash.
Yeah,
Maybe not the most appealing image, but definitely practical.
definitely practical.
So are there any other high-tech tools that are being used?
Absolutely. GPS technology and route optimization software are playing a huge role.
Yeah, I was reading about that.
Yeah.
It seems like a pretty complex system. How does it actually work?
So imagine this. The software takes in real-time data on weather conditions, road closures,
Okay.
and even the data that's coming in from those smart bins that we talked about.
Yeah.
And it uses all of this information to create the most efficient collection routes possible,
Wow.
sometimes even predicting which areas are going to be hardest hit by a storm,
Okay.
and then adjusting the routes accordingly.
So it's not just about avoiding delays then.
Yeah.
It's actually making the whole process safer for the drivers too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I can only imagine.
I can only imagine how stressful it must be to be navigating a heavy truck
Yeah.
on icy roads.
For sure. And from an environmental standpoint as well,
Yes.
fewer delays and optimized routes means less fuel consumption and lower emissions.
Exactly.
So it's a win-win-win.
It is.
Okay, so we've got the high-tech bins, we've got the tricked-out trucks, and then we've got this super smart routing software.
Yeah.
Are there any real-world examples of how all of this is actually being put into practice?
There are some great examples out there.
Okay.
Remember that case study you mentioned about Michael Benfield,
Yeah.
the owner of ABC Rubbish Removal in Melbourne, Australia?
Yeah, he seems to be really embracing these technologies.
He is.
What's his story?
Well, his company is a fantastic example of how even a small business can leverage technology
Right.
to make a big impact.
Yeah.
So he's integrated smart bins, GPS-equipped vehicles, and even AI-powered scheduling software
Wow.
to anticipate pickup needs.
That's incredible.
But the results have been pretty impressive.
I bet. So I'm guessing it's made a significant difference in their efficiency then,
It really has.
especially during the winter months.
Especially during the winter months. They've seen a 30% improvement in their
Wow,
collection efficiency during the winter.
that's huge.
Yeah, and that's a pretty remarkable increase considering the challenges
Yeah.
of operating in a region that still experiences harsh winter weather.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a really inspiring example. It shows that these solutions aren't just for big corporations.
No, they're not.
But I'm curious, are there any challenges to implementing this kind of technology,
Uh-huh.
especially for smaller companies? I'm guessing the upfront costs could be a bit daunting.
You've hit on a key point. The cost of purchasing new equipment and training staff
Right.
can be a major hurdle for some businesses.
Yeah, so it's not exactly like a plug-and-play solution for everyone.
No, it's not.
So is there anything being done to try and make these technologies a little bit more accessible?
There is. The good news is that we're seeing a growing number of government incentives and partnerships with tech providers
Okay.
that are designed to help businesses overcome these financial barriers.
That's great.
And as the technology continues to evolve and become more widely adopted,
Right.
we can expect costs to come down over time as well.
Yeah, that's encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're really on the cusp of a real transformation in how we approach waste removal, especially in regions that experience these harsh winters.
I think so.
So we've talked a lot about the present,
But
what about the future? Where do you see all of this going in the next few years?
that's a great question, and it's where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm all ears. What's next on the horizon for winter waste removal technology?
Well, one area that has a lot of people talking is automation.
Automation.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean by that?
So we're already seeing tests of autonomous collection vehicles.
Wait, self-driving garbage trucks,
Uh-huh.
like straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It does sound pretty futuristic, doesn't it?
It does.
But think about the potential here.
Okay.
You know, these vehicles could navigate those icy roads
Right.
with even greater precision and safety than human drivers.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Not to mention, you've got the potential for improved efficiency,
Right.
reduced labor costs.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to admit, I am pretty fascinated by the idea of a robot garbage truck like cruising down my street.
I know, it's pretty cool.
But what about the waste itself?
Right.
Any cool innovations happening on the processing side of things?
Definitely. Remember how we discussed how winter weather impacts everything from recycling to landfill operations? Well, there are some exciting solutions emerging in those areas as well.
Okay.
We're seeing more advanced sorting systems,
Okay.
heated facilities to prevent freezing, and even
Suspense. Don't leave me hanging.
the growing potential of waste-to-energy technology.
Waste energy. Okay, now you really have my attention.
Ah.
What's that all about?
So imagine taking all of that waste that we generate, especially during those winter months,
Right.
and using it as a fuel source
For heating.
for heating.
Hold on. Are you telling me we could turn our garbage into heat?
That's the idea.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Though I do wonder about the practicalities of that and, the potential downsides as well.
It's not a perfect solution,
Right.
but the potential benefits are huge.
Right.
Think about it. Reducing our reliance on fossil fuels,
Right.
diverting waste from landfills,
Yeah.
and creating a more circular economy.
That's amazing.
But you're right to be thinking critically about this.
Yeah.
You know, we have to be mindful of the environmental impact of producing and disposing of this technology itself.
For sure.
It's a balancing act.
Yeah.
We need to make sure the benefits outweigh any potential costs.
Absolutely. So speaking of consequences,
Okay.
for those of us who aren't running waste removal companies,
Yeah.
what can we do to be more mindful of our waste, especially during winter?
That's a great question. Even small changes in our individual habits can make a big difference.
Like what?
Well, for starters, avoid overfilling your bins
Okay.
because that can lead to spillage
Right.
and make collection more difficult, especially when the waste freezes.
Yeah.
You know, that saying, reduce, reuse, recycle.
Uh-huh.
Well, reducing our waste in the first place is always the best option.
That makes sense. I'm definitely guilty of cramming those extra bags in there sometimes.
We've all been there.
So I'll have to be more mindful of that.
Yeah.
What else can we do?
Okay, so ensure your bins are accessible,
Okay.
shoveling a clear path to the curb,
Gotcha.
making sure they're visible.
Okay.
It can make a huge difference for those collection crews.
Absolutely.
And using de-icing sprays can prevent waste from freezing to the bottom of your bins.
Good point.
Yeah.
A little bit of effort on our part can go a long way
Exactly.
in making things easier and safer for the people doing this essential work.
Right.
So is there anything else?
Well, if you're looking for a rubbish removal company, do a little research. Support the ones that are investing in the technology and the sustainability practices we've been talking about.
Right.
It might cost a bit more,
Yeah.
but those companies are leading the way.
Yeah.
And they deserve our support.
I agree.
Think of it as an investment in a more sustainable future.
Yeah. So we can literally vote with our wallets.
Exactly.
I like that. It's empowering to know we have that kind of influence.
It is.
Okay, so this has been super insightful.
Great.
But before we get too far ahead of ourselves,
Yeah.
I have to ask, are there any potential drawbacks to all this amazing technology that we've been discussing?
It's a really important question. As with any technological advancement, there's always the potential for unintended consequences.
Right.
One concern is job displacement as automation becomes more prevalent.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We need to ensure a smooth and equitable transition
Yeah.
for those who might be impacted by these changes, potentially through reskilling and retraining programs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a crucial point. We don't want to create a future where technological progress comes at the expense of people's livelihoods.
Right.
Are there any other concerns?
Another consideration is the environmental impact of producing and disposing of all this new technology.
That's almost ironic, isn't it?
It is a little bit.
We're trying to use technology to make waste removal more sustainable.
Right.
But we have to think about the footprint of the technology itself.
Exactly. It's a balancing act.
Yeah.
We need to make sure the benefits outweigh any environmental costs.
Okay.
Investing in responsible manufacturing practices, recycling programs for electronic waste, and finding ways to extend the lifespan of these technologies
Right.
are all essential steps.
So it's not just about embracing the shiny new gadget.
No.
It's about considering the entire life cycle of that technology.
Exactly. A truly sustainable approach means thinking long-term and holistically.
Well said. And this is an ongoing conversation, right?
Yeah, it is.
The waste management industry is constantly evolving. And what might seem like a breakthrough today
Right.
could be outdated tomorrow.
Yeah.
So what's the best way for all of us to stay informed about these changes?
Stay curious.
Stay curious.
Read articles, listen to podcasts,
Good point.
especially ones with insightful hosts,
I like that.
and engage in conversations about these issues. The more we understand,
Mm-hmm.
the better equipped we'll be to make informed choices that contribute to a more sustainable future.
I couldn't agree more. Knowledge is power, as they say.
Yeah.
Well, this has been an absolutely fascinating deep dive into a topic I honestly hadn't given much thought to before.
It's been fun.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today.
It's been my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of winter waste removal technology.
Yes.
Stick around. We'll be right back after a quick message. All right, so we're back,
We are.
ready to wrap up our deep dive
Yeah.
into this fascinating world
Yeah.
of winter waste removal technology.
It is amazing to think about
Yeah.
how much innovation is happening in
Oh.
a field that most people probably don't even think twice about.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's such a testament to human ingenuity.
It is.
Finding ways not only to solve these practical problems,
Right.
but to make the whole system more sustainable as well.
Exactly.
And speaking of sustainability,
Okay.
I wanted to touch on something that you mentioned earlier
Yeah.
about reducing waste in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like that's the ultimate goal, isn't it?
Absolutely. We can talk about these smart bins
Oh.
and high-tech trucks all day long,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day,
Yeah.
the most sustainable approach is to reduce the amount of waste
Right.
that we generate in the first place.
I was reading an article
Yeah.
about a concept called zero waste,
Uh-huh.
where people are striving to produce as little trash as possible.
Right.
It sounds pretty radical,
Mm.
but I'm curious.
Yeah.
Do you think it's actually a realistic goal?
For
Yeah.
the average person.
I think zero waste is a really powerful aspirational goal.
Okay.
It encourages us to rethink our consumption habits
Mm-hmm.
and make more conscious choices.
Right.
And while achieving true zero waste
Yeah.
might be challenging for most people,
yeah.
even taking small steps in that direction
Right.
can have a significant impact.
Okay.
Simple things like using reusable bags and containers,
Right.
composting food scraps, and choosing products with minimal packaging
Okay.
can make a big difference.
Those are all great ideas.
Yeah,
It really highlights the importance of individual actions.
it does.
But how do we move beyond those individual actions
Right.
and create a more systemic shift
Yeah.
towards waste reduction?
Well, I think it requires a multifaceted approach.
Okay.
We need continued innovation in product design and packaging
Okay.
with a focus on durability, reusability
Right.
and recyclability.
Right.
We need to support businesses that are prioritizing these sustainable practices.
Yeah. And we need policies that encourage waste reduction
Mm-hmm.
and incentivize those circular economy models.
So it's about individuals making conscious choices,
Yes.
businesses innovating and adopting more sustainable practices,
Yes.
and then policymakers creating a supportive environment
Uh-huh.
for change.
Precisely. It's a collaborative effort.
Yeah,
And it's a journey, not a destination.
right,
We're not going to solve the problem of waste overnight,
right.
but by working together and embracing these innovations,
Yeah.
I think we can create a more sustainable future.
Absolutely,
Go
for
ahead.
everyone. That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
And it is inspiring to see how much momentum is building in this space.
It is.
I have a feeling we're going to be revisiting this topic
I think so.
in the future
Yeah.
as new technologies and solutions emerge.
Absolutely.
But for now, I think we've given our listeners
We have
a lot to chew on.
a lot to think about.
If anything, I hope this deep dive has just sparked a little bit of curiosity
Me too.
and maybe even inspired some folks to, make some small changes in their own lives.
I agree.
Well, it has been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today.
It's been fun.
Thank you for sharing your insights with us.
The pleasure was all mine.
And to our listeners,
Yeah.
thank you for joining us
Yes.
on the deep dive.
Yeah.
We hope you've enjoyed this exploration
Uh,
of winter waste removal technology.
absolutely.
Remember, even small actions
Yeah.
can have a big impact.
They can.
So keep learning, keep asking questions,
Yes.
and keep making those conscious choices
Uh-huh.
that contribute to a more sustainable world.
A better world for all of us.
Until next time, stay curious.